you for joining us today for AIME's Women's Mortgage Network's Growth Series. This series is here for you to be educated, inspired, and share your progress as we lift each other up to new levels. Back on May 18th, we kicked off the Growth Series with Dr. Meg Myers-Morgan, the author of Everything is Negotiable. We did a challenge where we invited WMN members to think about how to negotiate their current situation. And I am thrilled to introduce you all to 3 members who were selected to share their perspective with us today. And the best part, I could not have planned this better, is all 3 of them are coming from different stages and phases in their lives and their careers. So who do we have with us today? From Arizona, we have Karina Flores, who is a loan officer at Camelback Mortgage. Karina went from pharmaceutical to the mortgage industry as of January of 2020. Wow. And then we have from Indiana, Holly Tuttle, the broker owner of Team Tuttle Mortgage. She has been in the mortgage industry from one facet or another since 1985. And then we have from California, Tressa Pope, a loan officer at Huntington Mortgage. She's 20 years in the mortgage industry, but only month number 4 in the broker space. Welcome, ladies. We are so thrilled to have you all with us today. Okay, so let's get right down to it. We're going to start with Karina. Karina, can you tell the audience what inspired you to reach out and what key takeaways did you have from the book, Everything is Negotiable, or from what Dr. Meg had said on the Growth Series, that first show?
So first of all, I love reading self-development books. So when I saw that Dr. Meg was going to be on, I was just excited. But I also, when I started reading it, I thought she's kind of giving me a slap on the wrist because I know this and I know better. And my thing that I was negotiating is asking questions and, giving myself permission to ask questions. Because I'm new, I feel like some of my questions are a little bit silly. And I think that kind of, makes me second guess myself whether I should ask or get laughed at, or what are they going to say? Why are you in this industry? You don't know enough. So that's kind of where, I'm struggling to get out there and basically, ask the questions that I need things that I need to know.
Awesome. And I know that when you had sent me that email, you had said that, being part of AIME and watching a lot of the Facebook Lives and watching some of the items on YouTube and the discussion boards and everything else, that has been very useful for you and that you've learned a lot by being part of that, correct?
Yes. I pretty much told myself anytime there's a live, a show, anything where, they're going to be going on, yes, sign up. I'm going. And I got to the point where I was doing like one live a day,
Wow.
just to try to get myself familiar with the language, because it is almost like learning a new language. So that's helped me out a lot.
That's awesome. And I actually also have to kind of go back a step. What made you change from pharmaceutical to mortgage? I'm actually curious about that.
I struggled to buy a house for a long time. And so I finally found somebody that helped me and, gave me a guideline of what I should do and, paved the way for me. And I told my husband, I want to do that. Like, that's being in pharmacy. I like helping people. And I was like, there's a lot of people I know that want to buy a house, but they don't know. You go to somebody and they say, come back to me when your credit is here, or come back to me when you have that. But they don't tell you how to get there. And I was lucky enough to find somebody that said, hey, Karina, this is what you need to do. This is what. So, right now I'm in my second house, but I had to learn what to do, and I had somebody help me, and I just wanted to be able to do that for other people, to be able to help them and say, this is what you need to do, not just, hey, come back when you're ready.
Karina, I think you just reminded all of us as to why we got into this business. And hopefully that reminds every single person watching and listening right now that that's exactly the reason why we do what we do. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Holly, tell me a little bit, you watched the Facebook Live, you said, now this touched you for multiple reasons, right? And I know there's a personal reason involved here also. So share that perspective with us.
Yes. Well, when I watched the video, I thought this really reminds me of what my daughter does. She is a mental health performance coach, and she recently just wrote a book about adversity and, among other things, getting 1% better each day. So I've watched her transform herself from somebody walking through adversity, through coming out the other side. And that day, that was my 1% to be better, was to say, Holly, you've done this a very long time. Maybe unlike you, Karina, just to start, I've been in this business 35 years. So I feel like I have a big knowledge base, but that day, just to hear a couple new things, you can always be learning. So that's why I reached out and thought, I really want this book and I want to be a part of this if I'm one of the lucky chosen.
Yes. And what's interesting, and I think probably all three of you, maybe you, not you, Karina, it might have been Tressa and Holly, both of you are kind of like, I'm not really like about the Facebook Live thing and putting myself out there. And it's very interesting. I'm like, hey, are you willing to, go live and tell your story? And I think that's part of negotiation too, right? It's getting a little outside of our comfort zones, challenging ourselves that, you know what, at the end of the day, look at what we're doing right here at this moment. We're coming together, all different backgrounds, all different levels of experience, coming with all different preconceived notions. But yet right now we're supporting each other and showing that by hearing this, we're getting better in whatever way that is, right? My getting better might be different than your getting better. But like Holly just said, that 1% improvement, wow, think about that. Think of how huge that can be. So awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that, Holly. And Holly, before we jump to the next thing, I'm just curious, even though we're not speaking about negotiation, I'm just curious. What advice would you give to Karina that's new to the mortgage business from someone that's been doing this for very long?
Well, I put a little list together. I was going to do it at the end, but I can run through them really quick. The biggest thing is, remember, this is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So when I was first in the business, I made a list on a piece of paper. I took it everywhere, all the facts. And as time went on, I didn't need that piece of paper any longer. So that was one of the tricks I did. You have to be a problem solver. That's what this job is. We are problem solvers. You have to figure out what your strength is, and you have to do that. Don't worry about your competition. There's always going to be competition, and there's always plenty of business for everybody. The other thing is, money is just a tool. So when we make money, we have to figure out how to make that work for us in our business. And here's what my father told me: always make the hardest phone call first. The rest of your day will be easy, and it's never as hard as you think. Treat your customers as you would want to be treated, and you'll earn and trust their respect. And basically, own your stuff. Everybody has stuff, and you just have to own it. If you make a mistake, own it and move on. Everybody, nobody expects perfection, but they do expect honesty. So that's a little bit of it.
I love it, Holly. Good tips. Great tips. All right, Tressa, what inspired you at that moment to say, hey, that's kind of speaking to me? I can relate to this, and this is something that I want to dive into. What was it that Dr. Meg said, and how have you used that to apply to your personal or business life?
Well, after listening to Dr. Meg, I think, Laura, was actually really your challenge. You put that challenge out for us, to negotiate something, and seeing all of the members put in the chat, hey, I'm doing it. How about you? I went ahead and put my name in the chat. I said, I'll do it too. And that really held me accountable to actively do something right away. So I think it was either that day or the next morning, I called my sales manager and I said, you brought me over as a loan officer, but you've now asked me to work your leads, and I've got to work on my own business. I have, and that chapter in Dr. Meg's book about owning it and owning your narrative really gave me the confidence to be able to say, hey, I want to focus on my own business. And remembering that this is a person that recruited me for about a year. So there's something about me that they wanted, and really just taking ownership of my own narrative and my own business.
Wow, I love that. And that's such a strong statement right there, right? Owning it, your confidence. So Tressa, tell us what happened when you went to this person and you said, hey, I was brought on for this and I want to focus on my own production and I'm here to grow my business. What happened?
Well, men are better negotiators, of course. So he tried to negotiate back. And he said, okay, how about you don't do the refis, but you still work my purchase leads.
Ah,
and I said, okay, well, we can have a conversation about that, because I also planned a social distance in-person meeting with him. I said,
okay.
I really think that we should meet in person. So I tabled it for the phone conversation because I thought, let me talk to him face to face. So I said, well, let's table that for now, but I need an in-person meeting. So I negotiated that in-person meeting so I could really express myself to someone in person. And then he didn't win. No, I got what I wanted, and I set my own terms of how I'd like to see things moving forward.
Okay, so so obviously you won. Obviously you got a boost in confidence, okay? And I think all of us, okay, every one of us can probably relate to, okay, that feels great. But I guess my next question for everybody is, how do you keep it going? How do you not get, in Karina, in your email that you had sent me, she actually called them fear gremlins. She used it, and I kind of equate that to self-talk. A lot of times we hear this little voice in our head that's like, no, don't even try it. Don't even think about it, because, you're not ready, or you don't know enough, or you're not strong enough, whatever it is, whatever that little gremlin, we'll call him the gremlin, that little gremlin. So what did what are your thoughts, and what can we share with others of how do you combat that? How do you make it so you don't lose that focus of everything in our life is negotiable? What do you think, Karina?
So for me, I decided I was going to shut down any excuses that I had. So, anytime I say, maybe I shouldn't do this or whatever, I have to basically ask myself why, or, try to, right. Just find out, I have the resources, whether it's here or, Google, whatever it is, to basically shut down my excuses and say the resources are available. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been combating, I guess.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, think about it, right? Let's go back to what you just said. You made a dedicated effort to say, you know what, if a Facebook Live pops up, I'm going to watch it, or I'm going to, if I can't do it at that moment, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch it later, right? Mm-hmm. So you've made a conscious effort to say, hey, maybe I don't have all the answers. And honestly, Karina, you're never going to know all the answers, right? No, it doesn't matter how long we're in this industry. Some thing will come up and some strange thing will happen and we don't have the answers. But you're correct, Karina. Building a network where you can go and say, hey, has anybody run into this Untitled? Has anybody seen this crazy scenario? I promise you, somebody out there has had that situation. And we've all had that situation for our first time. Now, the first time could have been 10 years ago, 10 days ago, or 10 minutes ago. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, because we have a network. We have a great group of people that will support you. So you're right. Take away the excuses, because there are no excuses. We have the power. collectively together. You're correct. Love that. All right, Holly, what do you think? Like, how do we fight these, I'm going to use Karina's word, these fear gremlins, you know, this anxiety that sometimes we're like, well, it's great that that person can do that, but that's not right for me because they must have gotten lucky, or they must have been able to do that because they have a connection. You know, how do you combat that sometimes when you're struggling with accomplishing something?
Well, for me, being a broker owner for like 15 years, I just keep doing the same thing in and day out. Some days are better than others. One of my best friends is my competitor. And and we're totally different. She has different realtors. I'm very realtor based. I would say 75% of my business is purchase business. So I have done the whole turtle thing, you know, slow and steady wins the race. And I also want to live a balanced life after 30 some years in this business. One of the things that I do is I schedule myself in. So I negotiate. I don't negotiate with others. If I have an appointment or my child had a school event, I scheduled me in. So they didn't need to know that my business appointment was sitting on a ball field or, you know, watching a track meet. So, and that is kind of, sometimes we're so busy that we almost feel sorry for ourselves because we're one of the lucky ones if we're super busy. But, you know, there are days that I'm thinking I didn't write a loan today. So what does that mean? Am I not out and about like I should be? Am I not on social media like I should be? Am I not making my phone calls to realtors that I normally do? So it's, you have to keep yourself positive. I say a mantra every morning that's positive. It's very direct. It's exactly what I want, and it's truthful. And I've been doing it now for about 5 years, and it, I believe, has brought business into my world. So just stay positive. I have a little note right here on my desk. Stay positive. Because sometimes we want to get grouchy, and that is just always a good reminder.
I love it. Love that advice, and how you start your day certainly does set the stage for the rest of it. So great advice. All right, Tressa, how do you keep everything in order here, keep everything in control, and keep those fear gremlins behind you? What do you do? What do you recommend?
Well, for me, I think part of the challenge I had with the scenario that I shared with you was I was actually afraid to show weakness. You know, oh, I can't do it all. I can't do his leads and my business and this and that and learn the broker channel. So I felt like I had to say yes and take it all on. And because I thought that if I raised my hand and said, hey, I need some help, that it would show that I was not as good at my job, that it would show weakness. And I think that's one of my biggest lessons, is that that's okay. It's okay to just reach out and say, I don't have the answer. I can't do it all. And there's strength in that too, even though it seems like you're saying that you're weak. It's not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that is a very, very valid point. And especially when you're in a new situation, right? When you're in a new situation, you don't want to be interpreted that way. But honestly, strength and confidence and power to speak up is actually, that's
empowering.
That's strength. That's strength. That's not weakness. So you're correct. You actually showed strength, and I hope that you learned from that and you'll continue with that. And listen, there are some days that we need a network to say, you know, you might not feel that way. And that's when you use your tribe and you use your network of, you know, like Holly said, she even has a competitor that they bounce things off of. And that's awesome. That's wonderful. So use that community. Absolutely. All right. So at this point, we are getting ready to wrap up. I absolutely cannot thank you ladies enough for multiple things. Number one, you all have unique stories. You're all at different stages, which is so wonderful because it's different perspectives. And most importantly, you trusted us. You put yourself out there. You came on a Facebook Live and shared some very intimate, personal thoughts. I can't thank you enough. And I really hope that you enjoyed the book, and, you know, maybe we'll bring you back on for another book in the future. All right. So thank you very much. Okay. So at this time, we are actually going to be ready for this week's challenge. And this week's challenge is going to be, look at what we're doing, ladies. We are providing this growth series for everybody to be able to connect and understand everything that you're dealing with or going through. Other people think, feel, and understand exactly the same thing. And we want to continue to grow our group. So this week's challenge is we would like you to invite 3 other women mortgage broker loan officers or people associated to AIME within the wholesale channel, because we want to continue to grow the Women's Mortgage Network. This is true value to be able to spotlight what all you ladies are doing out there to be able to show. Okay? And I'm very excited about next week's episode. Next week's episode, we are actually going to have our special guest, our one and only Katie Sweeney, the EVP of AIME Strategy. We are going to be discussing how to adapt and how to lead through change. This is going to be a dynamic discussion with Katie and I as we speak about the last few months and how we lead through and how we adapt for our growth. Also, one final thing. I do have a few books left for Dr. Meg Morgan's Everything is Negotiable books. If you would like one, I would love to mail one out to you. So please email me at laura@afrwholesale.com, and I'll be happy to send one of those books out. So please, happy to share. I want you guys to get the value of that book. And we want to thank you all for joining us today, and have a great week, everyone.